Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and there's a ton to talk about this week with iPhone 17 redesigns, iOS 19, iPhone SE confirmed, and much more. This is your weekly Apple news update for the week of November 25th, 2024. Now, Apple today has revealed 45 games and app finalists for their yearly App Awards. You'll see this here in their newsroom post, and they go over all of the different ones they're giving awards to, such as Kino, Runna, Tripsy, iPhone Game of the Year finalists, and much more. They've even included Lumi, the app that I use on my Apple Watch a lot, that many people ask what it is. So if I slide over here, you'll see the one running in the middle here that shows golden hour, the best time to take photos and videos. They're actually getting an award for this as well, or maybe getting an award for it. They're a finalist. So it's great to see them added there, and you'll see all of the others. So I'll link this in the description so you can check it out yourself. Another thing Apple announced this week is that Apple Pay Tap to Pay is now available in New Zealand. So if you've been wanting to use that as a business, now people can pay you directly by tapping their phone to your phone and paying that way instead of having to use a register. So it's great to see that. Now, if you're someone that uses Shazam a lot, it seems many people are using this around the world, as Apple has announced that Shazam has now identified over 100 billion songs. This is according to their announcement on their newsroom. It's 12 songs identified for every person on Earth. So it looks like a lot of people use this. You'll see a person would need to use Shazam to identify a song every second for 3,168 years to reach 100 billion. It's pretty incredible that people are using it that often. Now, Apple's working towards making products more and more repairable, which is a great thing. With self-service repair, you can purchase parts to fix your own device, and now it seems with the new M4 Max and MacBook Airs, Apple has actually had repairable speakers in place now. That's actually made them much better than having to replace the entire top case where it's just the entire thing with the keyboard and more. Now they'll be able to actually replace the speakers themselves. While they're not yet available for self-service repair, they actually have a document here explaining how you would do this, replacing the speakers and more. So it's great that you wouldn't have to wait for them to replace the entire thing. Now they can just replace those speakers and do it step by step with the instructions here. Or maybe do it yourself if you want to. So again, check this in the description below if you're interested to see exactly how you should be doing this. Now, this week in the United States, it's Thanksgiving on Thursday, and on Friday is Black Friday, when we get some of the best deals of the year through the following Monday, or Cyber Monday. Apple's actually announced their different sales where it says get ready, get set, get a gift card. Starting November 29th, get an Apple gift card up to $200 when you buy an eligible product. Only at Apple Online, in-store, and in the App Store. So you can see the different things here if you're shopping for them. And of course, I'll link it in the description, but lots of different sales here. And speaking of weekly Apple deals, there's quite a few going on this week. Everything from AirPods Max are $100 off, AirPods 3 are discounted, AirPods 4, just about every AirPod. There's deals on Macs up to $250 to $300 off. Apple Watches are $80 off. iPads are $50 to $200 off. So if you're interested in any of those deals, I'll link them in the description so you can check them out yourself. Now, of course, releases this week, many people have been asking about it, but I think Apple will typically skip the week of Thanksgiving. I've looked back a couple years and they generally skip this week, as many people are taking holidays or taking time off. So typically that's what Apple does. So I would not expect an update this week. Generally, we could have an update between Monday and Wednesday, but given that Thursday is Thanksgiving, I think we'll probably see an update next week with maybe the RC on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. We don't have an exact date yet, but according to people such as Mark Gurman, we could have had a public release on the 2nd, but MacRumors is saying the 9th. Either way, we're getting very, very close to a public release, and of course we need the RC first. So based off that information, I would expect the RC sometime early next week with a public release on the 9th. That just seems to make the most sense right now, unless we get some sort of surprise update. Of course, in the meantime, after that time frame or around it, we could also have an iOS 18.1.2 like we did last year with iOS 17, and then of course we'll move on to iOS 18.3 betas. Based on what we've had then, we could see those betas probably the same week or the following week, and then have the beta maybe 1, maybe 2 before the holiday break where we have Christmas and New Year's, and then maybe in mid-January we'll see the next beta. So usually we have a few week break in between there. So that's what we can expect as far as that. Now, just like every year, we hear something about the next version of iOS late in the year, and this year's no different. Just like every year, we'll see the first reveal of the next iOS version in June, but Mark Gurman once again brought up that iOS 19 will actually feature an upgraded Siri chatbot. This will be more along the lines of what we have with Google's Gemini Live or ChatGPT, where it will be more conversational back and forth. However, the updated news comes with a bit of disappointment as the upgraded Siri chat version will not be released until spring of 2026. So not 2025, but 2026 it seems. And now that iOS 18 and Siri 2.0 is still expected, it's going to give greater understanding of context and features with iOS 18, but the future upgrade is way off at this point. In fact, it seems that iOS 18.4 will be a very large update as well, according to Mark Gurman. However, the updates to iOS 19 could get quite a bit of a delay, so instead of launching in September like they typically do, he's saying that we might not see a bunch of iOS 19 features until spring of 2026, along with that Siri ChatGPT sort of style chatbot. So it's going to be a year of waiting, it seems, this coming year, with some very big changes coming to iOS 18 and 19, but it's going to be a while until they finalize all of the Apple Intelligence features. So that may be a bit of a disappointment to some, but it looks like it's a ways off. Now, just today, we received updated news about the iPhone 17 Pro models, where they're apparently going to switch back from titanium to aluminum. This is from sort of the iPhone 8 days and before, and this is according to the online publication, The Information. So just like the iPhone 1, we could have an aluminum back or aluminium back instead of titanium and glass. This time, it seems like it's going to be a little bit different. The iPhone 17 Pros will be aluminum and glass, but apparently at the top portion of the camera area, it will feature a rectangular camera bump instead of a 3D printed glass bump. So this is something that's a very big departure from what we've seen in a long time, and maybe it's going to be more rectangular or something more similar to what we have with the Pixel 9 Pro series. So instead of having this look here, we could have something that's more rectangular and more of a new signature shape for the iPhone. So it looks like we're going to have some sort of redesign, and the odd thing is the bottom of the phone is said to still be glass. So we could have aluminum at the top, glass at the bottom, and sort of maybe a divided look like we have with the iPhone first generation or 2G, or maybe it'll be something more similar to the iPhone 6 Plus, where we had aluminum and sort of maybe a metal area at the top. We don't really know, but this is a major redesign we're expecting this year, and this is something I think many people weren't thinking was going to happen. Now, the information today not only talked about the iPhone 17 Pro models, but also the new iPhone 17 Slim model, stating that the early iPhone 17 Air prototypes have not had a second speaker or a millimeter wave 5G antenna. It will also be around 5 to 6 millimeters thin, it seems, so thinner than what we have with the iPhone 6 Plus, and to make room for such sort of slimness or thinness, they would have to get rid of a few things. That makes a lot of sense, and personally, I would love to see Apple replace the regular base models with something maybe such as an iPhone 17 Air, and then just have the Pro models, Pro and Pro Max, getting rid of 4 different choices that are just confusing, and instead just have a couple different models with some significant differences. That makes a lot of sense, and I would love to see that moving forward. So we definitely could get something unique this year, sort of bringing us back to what we had with the iPhone 2G. I would love to see it though. With the iPhone SE 4, it's the next iPhone planned for release this coming year that we'll see before the iPhone 17, and according to a Barclays analyst this year, they've confirmed that suppliers are set to prepare for a late end of the first quarter release. This would put it around March. It's said to have a new design, maybe closer to the iPhone 14, a vertical camera or maybe just one camera, an OLED display, 8 gigs of RAM for Apple Intelligence, USB-C, Apple's new 5G modem, and a 48 megapixel camera. So based off of that information, that seems likely, and we could see it in just a few months. Now, Macs are currently the only devices lacking an OLED display, but it seems that will start to change by 2026 or 2027, according to TrendForce in recent reports. So those waiting to pick up a new Mac when it has OLED will have to wait a little bit longer than originally anticipated, it seems. So if you've been wanting an iPad or a MacBook Air rather, or a MacBook Pro with OLED, well, it's going to be a little while. That makes a lot of sense. They'll get rid of the current design, and then they'll refresh the design with a new OLED display, maybe with an even thinner sort of top case, and maybe a better camera. We'll have to wait and see. Now, AirPods Max have not been updated for some time other than with colors. So we got the AirPods Max with new colors, but nothing else really. They haven't updated the internal chipset. They just changed it from Lightning to USB-C. And that's a bit unfortunate if you were looking to upgrade AirPods Max, as according to Mark Gurman this week in his Power On newsletter, it seems they have no plans for a significant upgrade anytime soon. So they're keeping it the same. Now, I will say that when I use these to edit, these are the only AirPods that do not sort of slow down in bitrate and lag. For whatever reason, AirPods Pro, AirPods Pro 2, AirPods 4, they all start to lag after a little while or sort of have a bitrate that seems to drop. AirPods Max never do that for me, so maybe there's an advantage to the first generation chip, but it definitely is lacking some features that should be there for its price tag. And last week we heard about AirTags 2. Apple's working on them. Apparently they have a code name, B589, and it's going to have upgraded location tracking in them. They're now in manufacturer's testing stage at this point. So they're manufacturing them sort of to make sure that they can do this properly and at speed. And of course, once that passes, then they'll start producing them. So these could launch maybe around March as well, maybe with what we've already talked about with the new iPhone SE and some other products. Now, last week, we heard that Apple's considering bringing an actual TV to the market. This week, Mark Gurman gave more details about Apple's original TV plans, where it could be sort of a larger TV within a stand that could act as a giant iPad or touchscreen for a Mac. There were apparently full-scale prototypes with new user interfaces, and it seemed they were at the stage of working to get the supply chain up and running. However, of course, they haven't released one so far, but maybe they will with some of the original features intact. We don't really know, but at this point, I would definitely be curious to see what Apple comes up with as far as a TV, but it would probably be so expensive that most people wouldn't buy one, given that the price of a giant TV today can well be under $1,000. But I would love to see what they have in mind. Now, we know Apple's working on a home hub that could launch around the same time as the iPhone SE4, maybe around the March timeframe of next year. It's said to have a 6x6-inch display with a touchscreen and speaker built in, and it would just sort of bring Apple into a new focus for the home. Maybe they'll see how it does, and then if it does well, we could get the TV, maybe cameras and more. We're hearing more and more about this with more and more confirmations throughout the supply chain, so it seems they're definitely going to at least give it a try, and we'll have to wait and see what they come up with. And so lots of things to look forward to, especially next year. It looks like we could get some things we weren't really expecting with iPhone 17 redesigns and more. And let me know if you would pick up an iPhone 17 if it had maybe a camera bar across it and something completely different. I look forward to it, as I would love a new redesign. This is sort of getting old, and while it's a signature look, something a little bit fresher would be great. Steve Jobs updated it every couple of years with an SE or an S model and then moved on to the next model. So I would love to see that sort of cadence return. But either way, let me know what you think of the iPhone 17, if it's going to look like that, or are you just waiting for an iPhone SE4? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.